What role do teachers' unions play in the learners' educational success? And what would be the best way to deal with all those found to be guilty of cheating? Why is there a marked decline on matric mathematics and science enrollment? Why are community protests still affecting learning and teaching at schools? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Tsedu. The National Development Plan states that education is a means to build an inclusive society and provide opportunities for South Africans to realize their full potential. At the same time, the rural-urban divide, school infrastructure, information and communications technology in education, teacher development and learner performance in mathematics, science and technology continue to pose a headache to South Africa's Department of Basic Education. But how can teachers' unions help in addressing these challenges? My guests today are Mr. Mugwena Maluleke, the General Secretary of the South African Democratic Teachers Union, that's SATU, and Me Anthea Seresto, Deputy President of the National Professional Teachers Organization of South Africa, otherwise known as NAPTOSA. Welcome to the show, and perhaps let me just quickly get your quick sound bites on your impressions in as far as the matric results were concerned. Very cool.
I think we reflected as a union what the nation reflected: disappointment, because we have been on the upward trend. Okay. However, it was not to be unanticipated, unexpected. We have introduced the new caps, which did present challenges. We could foresee difficulties in mathematics and physical science, accounting. And in fact, I think the progress that was made in some of those subjects was probably better than was even anticipated. So we reflected, we're disappointed. We obviously would like it to keep going upwards, but it's reality. We are trying to improve things. And if we are making some of the subjects more difficult, the higher cognitive demand, it's challenging for learners.
Okay. Dr. Maluleke, do you, as the labor movement, take responsibility for either the success or the decline? What's your share there?
As a trade union, we do take responsibility. We have indicated education is a collective responsibility. It's a societal issue. So pointing fingers is not going to help us. So our posture has always been that let's take responsibility for our successes and our failures, so that we are then able to come up with strategies to correct and improve the quality of our education in the country. And therefore, we also want to speak against this thing of pointing fingers at the teachers when things are not well, and things when they are well, it's only the MECs that are being thanked and congratulated as if they've ever been in the class. The teachers who are in the class are the ones that understand the interface with all these particular challenges that are presented by our society to our young people. So,
okay. Now, this CAPS thing, let me call it a thing for now, was presented as some demon which, if you're saying the results are bad, look at CAPS. If you're saying we didn't do too well, blame CAPS. What was SATU's point there?
Well, we want to submit that is one of those particular issues that have contributed to the decline. But it's not the only problem that we have in terms of CAPS. What we have to understand is that education is a very complex process. And therefore, if you have learners who have been graduated or who have been progressed automatically without having satisfied the grade 11, requirements, and therefore they find themselves in matric, clearly they will contribute towards the decline in the examination. But also, if you continue to have ANA, which is an annual national assessment that teachers are forced to program the children to drill them instead of giving them education from grade R, so that they gain some skills of reading, numeracy and literacy. But actually you are preparing for the test, after test you prepare for another test. You are building a system that obviously is not going to be sustainable, and what you are going to see fluctuation. One year you are going to have 100%, the other year you have got 60%, and that is not what we want. We want a sustainable improvement in terms of quality.
Are all the teachers well conversant with CAPS?
I would say there is diversity across the country. Some teachers were able to absorb the new curriculum requirements quickly, and others needed more intervention. And probably those teachers who needed more interventions didn't get sufficient support. There were some challenging insertions in some of the curriculums, but some teachers managed perfectly well, some probably would struggle, and that would continue now. We do need to support teachers, and we need to get facts about this. We actually need to know there are portions of the curriculum which are new, relatively new. They were out for some time and now they've come back. Okay. And we have, particularly in maths, and they've changed the order of teaching certain things. And teachers who haven't taught for a long time are now teaching it. So I think we need some facts about what do teachers honestly know. And I think teachers need to be less afraid to admit where they don't know. That the stigma of not knowing is a hindrance. That if people get labelled, and I had a project running, and the teachers really tried hard, but when they didn't do well, the district officials would come and tell them they were useless. Yes. That's not what we need. We want them to be able to honestly say to a person who's coming to support, this is what I do not understand. Please can I have the support? So we need targeted quality support for teachers who need it, and for the others, they must get on and run with it as they can.
But is there a departmental training, or was there, which was meant to empower teachers to understand this system, or was it just pockets of NGOs and, did individual teachers, or what are you called now? Educators, excuse me.
No, teachers are fine.
Okay. Was it supposed to be your responsibility as an individual to ensure that you are, aware of what is expected out of this, or was there a departmental?
No, there was departmental training. It was nationally prepared and was supposed to be rolled out following a consistent pattern across the country. However, it was insufficient for some and irrelevant for others. So once again, the training that teachers get need to be more specific for the teachers' needs. And we'll only know that if teachers are comfortable to acknowledge their needs. Okay. And there's no fear that here I am, I'm presenting myself with some knowledge need, and here is somebody really good who can teach me. We've had really, in general, quite poor training. Okay. There have been pockets of excellence, but they've also been really quite shocking training.
Did you, as a labour movement, perhaps meet your members halfway? Was there something that, as such, you then say, this is what we're going to do for our members? Or, like I said, members had to take the initiative, or NGOs or SGBs. I know that, for instance, the Khanya group of the ZCC, partnered with Wits University to try and acclimatize the teachers, and as far as this is concerned.
Yeah. Now, look, as an organization, we did play our role. Clearly, it was an issue of a labor movement as a whole in the education sector, where we then audited the skills of our teachers and understood their demands and their needs. And what we did was to conduct those particular training in terms of CAPS in particular areas where we identified problems. And clearly, it was not adequate because we intervened late when we started seeing that problems. We have a 3-year agreement agreement with the Department of Education, which is ending this year, where we are supposed to be playing a role in terms of teacher development, and therefore the department requested all the unions to focus on CAPS, which we did. However, come 2013, there was no money. 2014, there was no money for us to be able to continue with our training. We, however, improvised and ensured that our teachers are trained. You ask the question whether it is an individual's responsibility. Yes, the individual also has to develop himself or herself. However, in terms of your agreement that we have, is that the Department of Education has a responsibility to train the teachers. We need to spend in this country at least 120 hours of teacher development on an annual basis. It shouldn't be a favor.
Okay. I want us to take a quick break. When we return, let's look at the closure of some of the schools here and other issues. For now, we're taking a quick break. Please don't go away.
A huge part of this African growth is technological innovation. Governments here are working hard to ensure that the continent's technology matches that of more advanced countries.
High-speed internet connectivity is regarded as a utility.
As the continent battles diseases like Ebola, social media becomes the preferred method to share information.
People on social media are some of the society's most influential.
To find out more, join me, Spumelele Zondi, on Network every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. only on SABC News.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. My guest today is Tatana Mokwena Maluleke, the General Secretary of SATU. Anthea Seresto is the Deputy President of NEPTOSA. Now, from NEPTOSA's side, what's your view in as far as this, pending issue regarding the leakage of papers and the department has said that those who are going to be found guilty face the possibility, if they are learners, of being banished for 3 years or so. What was your view there?
As NEPTOSA, we are, of course, against the cheating by teachers or by students.
Yes.
Students have to pledge that they're going to be honest when they write their examinations. That's one of the things that was introduced last year. Mm-hmm. So they've broken that pledge, and they are warned that the penalty for doing something in an exam that is not permitted is that they'll be barred from writing. So the learners were informed of the consequences of cheating. The teachers, of course, are totally out of line. As NEPTOSA, we condemn it entirely. A teacher cannot do such a thing. So that's not questionable, and if
they are your members?
We would be in support of the department and any action that is taken by the department and the South African Council for Educators. We will not support our teachers who do such things. I sincerely hope they're none of our members, but let us say if they were, we will defend them because that is their right to have defense from their union. But the fact of the matter is they've committed a wrong. We will explain to them this is a wrong. It's a serious wrong. However, as NEPTOSA, we need to look at what is the underlying cause. Why did those learners and those teachers do that cheating?
No, but that's immaterial.
I know it's immaterial, and we won't make that an excuse for the teachers' conduct or the learners' conduct. But we do need to look at why. Were those teachers so desperate they didn't have the subject knowledge to teach their learners, so they had to dictate matters from textbooks or something like that? Or they didn't do that part of the curriculum because they didn't get there. Because they didn't go to school.
But some of the answers were actually wrong.
Oh, yes, that's the problem, because we actually know. We have a problem. We have a problem. Teachers didn't have the knowledge. Learners didn't have the knowledge. That was revealed. It's wrong, and action must be taken.
Satu.
Our position is very clear. It is that we condemn cheating. We do not want to have a country where we graduate our matriculants and we are graduating superficial people or artificial people. We do not think that is providing leadership for any person, whether it's a parent, an official of the department, or a teacher who would engage in such a fraudulent activity by destroying the future of that particular young person. Whatever the pressures that were there, we do not believe that there's any justification for anyone to be engaged in cheating. Learners have got to do their work, parents have got to support them, the teachers have got to teach those particular learners and so forth. So this pressure by the department to say you must perform and then you must give 80% and so forth would never justify any of that particular activity, because we must condemn it. We must all of us unite as a nation and say it cannot be accepted, and therefore whatever action that the department has got to come up with must be supported. And I agree with Anthea. Our role would be a representation for fair procedures in terms of the Labour Relations Act.
So you will go there and say, comrade, you are being accused of 1, 2, 3. We believe you you deserve our representation. However, we don't think that you were in line.
Yeah, what we are going to be doing is that due processes must be followed because that is what the law requires. But at the same time, and I want to use another word, I use the word representation, not defend, because we can't defend that kind of a conduct. It's indefensible because clearly you are tarnishing the image of a profession that is really in the mouth of people. Everyone is talking about teaching, and we believe that we have that collective responsibility, all of us, to ensure that we professionalize the profession and ensure that this particular profession can really be respected so that our young people can admire and aspire to be teachers.
Okay. Now let's talk about the closure of schools. Let's say that schools that have fewer than 135 pupils would have to be shut down.
Look, the law provides that the minister or the MEC would have to consult before a school is closed.
Yes.
The reasons would have to be provided to the community and those stakeholders that are key to that particular community and that particular school. However, in this country, the problem is that we never think through things. Every time the results have just declined, and therefore the solution is close the schools. Did we conduct any research that says to us for the results to decline, it is because of the number of learners that are there? We hear, and which you correctly put, no, everything, the results have declined, blame CAPS. Now, CAPS and the number of learners in the school and the closure of the schools, I don't think that those things go together, because I still ask myself, why is it that if we have closed the school, you think that that's quality that is going to come up? Because first and foremost is that why are the learners not going to that particular school?
Because teachers don't want to go and teach in those schools. I mean, I've been to some of the remotest areas of this country, and I've been to some of the schools that have less than, this number.
Yes, let's agree with you. That says teachers not want to go there. We must address the reason why the teachers are not going there. Closing the school, then present another challenge to the community. Where do we take these children? We know very well that the department is going to say, we're going to transport these children to school A or school B. Come March. You will be seated with a toy of bus drivers who have not been paid, because the money has been channeled to something else. So therefore, basically, we are postponing a problem rather than to solve a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a proposed solution?
A proposed solution. I do agree that before these moves are done, there has to be thorough research, and there needs to be evidence that a decision has been made for sound educational reasons. If there are no children left in the community, if it's an aged community, if people have migrated to cities and things like that, and there are no children in an area, and now we're left with just a few children, and we're unable to staff the school with the required number of teachers. If it's a high school, you have to offer a certain number of subjects, which means you need specialist teachers. You can't have a generalist to teach all the subjects. So you do need a certain number of specialist teachers.
Okay.
Can you still provide that number of teachers? So it depends on every particular circumstance. It's a very contentious thing because it's always best for children to go to school close to where they live. Transporting children to school is not the best. If it can be avoided, it should be avoided because of the dangers, because of the early hours of these children, the cost to the government. So if it can be avoided, but we do have to look at, would closure give the children access to quality? Or are we just escaping a bad situation that we should fix rather?
Hold the thought there. We're going to take a quick break. We'll return shortly.
Of the 21st of February 1917, their ship was rammed by a liner. Legend has it that as the Mendi was going down, members of the 5th Battalion danced barefoot aboard the vessel. 616 died that day, most of them black.
After the rapid food security assessment that was done together with WFP and FAO, we found that this is one of the heavily impacted areas because of Ebola.
Over 300 bikers from across the province making a difference in the fight against blood-related cancer.
I'm here in support of cancer, and my sister has cancer, so I'm riding for cancer.
Catch all news locally and internationally. Tune into SABC, your #1 news channel, news at 8 from Monday to Sunday.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. Our guest today is Mr. Mokoena Maduleke. He's the General Secretary of SATU, and Anthea Seresto is the Deputy President of NEPTOSA. Quick one, Mr. Maduleke. The enrollment in math and science seems to be declining. What do we attribute that to? CAPS?
Look, there's a number of reasons why we see a decline in the enrollment of mathematics and physical science. As we always engage in the public and learners are supposed to take those particular subjects, they get scared because, why do you take a subject that so many people are failing? So they're not being encouraged. It's one of the reasons. And parents also look at a quick fix solution. I want my child to have a BA. I want my child to go be a lawyer. So I'm not going to encourage my child to register for those particular subjects in any way. Reason being that we don't have enough teachers in maths and physical science. And the reality of the situation is that as a country, we look at grade 12. We don't look at whether we need teachers in grade 1 who have at least some skills in numeracy and mathematics. And to have that, it means those people must have done mathematics in grade 10, or what you call grade 12. Used to have Form 5. So at least they must have some kind of rudimentary skills around this particular subject to be able to teach the basics of mathematics and so forth. And secondly, it is that we do not have good language teachers. Because we're not spending a lot of money in developing the language. So for us to encourage the learners to do maths and physical science, we need to look at the language. Because if you are going to be taught by a 4th language speaker and you're doing 2nd language speaker, you're not going to be successful in mathematics.
Why are you never heard saying these things, Mr. Maduleke? SATU often goes to the streets, and I don't remember a memorandum that was, that included that demand.
We have always included that demand. We
but
always
probably
say
number
that
last.
No, it's not number last, it's the first. Because if we say we're creating a learning nation, one of the pillars under creating of learning nation was that we must encourage learners to be taught in their own mother tongue. Because it helps them, like Anthea was saying, cognitive development. You are not going to have a scientist if the child is not going to be challenged and interrogate the curriculum in terms of the language of his own. Because if, for example, I give you an example, if I was an African doing mathematics, I would do better, because if they say it's a tree hook, it's a tree hook. Now, I go to English, they tell me about a triangle. First, I must learn what is a tri. Is it a three? The Afrikaner is a three, it's gone. So I must say first, is three is a tri. So it's very difficult, those particular things. So I'm saying we need to encourage our people not to be afraid of mathematics. We need to confront this situation.
A quick one. The launch of the so-called paperless teaching and all that. Good news?
Problematic. It's aspirational. And I suppose we have to acknowledge that our politicians and our education leaders want to be aspirational. They want to take us into the 21st century. So I think we need to recognize that. However, it is a really challenging undertaking in terms of cost, in terms of skilling the people who have to use these devices. We still have difficulty teaching using traditional methods. In other words, methodology of teaching.
Yes.
Now we have to translate methodology of teaching into methodology in a paperless way. I just think
isn't that what the current crop of educators require?
Teachers need skills in teaching. Teaching is a really complex occupation, and I've been at it for 42 years. And I was giving a workshop in my school the other day, and I did research in the holidays. And I just realized as I was doing my research how much more complex it is than I thought it was. How to plan a lesson is really, really complex. Okay. And I don't think we recognize that. Now we want people who are struggling with normal teaching to translate this into digital teaching. It's aspirational, it's good, but I would really say our country needs and our province needs us to look after simple things first.
Are you not saying this because you've been in teaching for 40 years?
And I'm an old-fashioned dinosaur.
Yes.
No, and we've talked about this because I do believe that there is a place, and we should be integrating it, most definitely. However, a paperless school, interactive whiteboard, you need computer technicians on hand. Things go wrong, the children do something, they need to have it fixed. If your tablet breaks down tonight, how do you study for your test tomorrow?
Yeah. Okay.
It's a wonderful aspirational thing, and we mustn't put the lid on aspiration.
Okay.
But it's problematic.
Satu also believes?
It's very problematic.
Okay. Unfortunately, we've run out of time.
My MEC is not going to like me very much for that statement.
It's aspirational. Yeah.
That was question time for today. A big thank you to my guests and to you for watching the show. Have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye.
Culture is most definitely defined through one's individual style, be it through music, lifestyle, and fashion. Life magazine has been in existence